Welcome to another week, another Monday, and another live with Nat. We have just returned with Stuart from a weekend away, a delayed 10-year marriage anniversary, which was early August. So we just delayed it by 1 month because of things that were happening in our lives. And in light of having a lovely weekend away with my husband and something that prompted me at a workshop that I was at last week, I thought I'd talk about the differences or similarities around what does our love life have to do with business and how it can reflect the stages, because within everything that we do, there are different stages of how things happen. But before we hit it off officially at 9 o'clock, which we always do, I'm just going to quickly do my little shares. Good morning to, hey Zoe, Aisha, Emma, Karen, nice to see you guys on the call. And we're going to get that started. I've got some funny stories to tell you a little bit about my as I, started dating in my early 20s and what used to happen in my love life, and how that has, it has been a reflection of the types of results I was getting in life. Good morning. Hey, Kitty. Nice to see you as well. So I'm just going to do my quick share. Share to a page. Okay. Awesome. Let me know what you guys did for the weekend. Give me a love, give me a like, and then we're going to get started. All right, hang on a tick. Just going to copy and paste. All right, and one more. I'm going to do one more in Author Your Way to Riches. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Kitty. All right, share one more. And then we're going to get started, you guys. You're going to laugh at me, but anyway, I'm going to reveal some stuff about me that you may not have known before. Author Your Way to Riches. All right, almost there. Perfect. Okay, I'm back. All right, so I've got a couple of notes here, and we're going to talk about the different stages and also how obviously our love life and our relationship are kind of in a direct correlation of the results we get in our businesses. So there are 3 stages that I believe exist obviously in any anything that you start doing in terms of a skill. So being in love or being in a marriage requires a certain skill set to successfully do it. And then, of course, owning a successful business also requires the same. So I'm going to talk about these 3, and we can either think about them like the one-night stand, the boyfriend stage when you're dating different people, but you haven't yet married them, and then of course the marriage stage, or you can think about it in a different way of the honeymoon, repetition, and domination. Okay, so I was sitting in a workshop last week, and I was like going, thinking about my relationships and love life, and since I started dating and all that sort of stuff, and something not many people know about me, and this is not a big deal, but when I was younger, when we used to go clubbing and all that, I used to be a serial kisser. Not in a bad sense. So I wasn't a person who would sleep around with lots of people, and some people do that. No judgment. Everyone, each to their own. But I used to always love that stage of that first kiss, right? And I used to, and it was always my kind of thing, the goal to achieve was to kiss someone if I wasn't in a relationship. And I would relate that to the honeymoon stage of obviously a relationship. But it might not go any further. I might date the person, or I might, some people eventually became those longer term relationships. And throughout my 20s, I had relationships that lasted anywhere from 18 months to 2.5 years. So I was never single for too long. And so I would, sort of be single for a little while, kiss a few boys or whatever, and then kind of decide, to establish a relationship with someone. And then as the honeymoon period would wear off. Let's say it can be anywhere, as most of us know, from 6 months to 2 years. I would start feeling like I wasn't, I was no longer in love with the person, and it's like maybe this is not the one. And slowly, like, I never went out with bad people. Actually, I have this personality and way of attracting awesome people, awesome guys. Never dated a bastard, a pervert. Always, everyone that I dated has been the most wonderful person. Like, the reason we had, good morning, Christian, the reason we had parted ways is because I got to a point where I felt like, oh my God, I'm not feeling in love, I'm not getting those butterfly feelings. But I wasn't aware that, of course, that there is stages in a relationship where you move from that honeymoon period into that repetition period, and after a certain time into that domination or mastery, if you like, period. And one day, one of my past boyfriends, as I was talking to him, so I tend to remain friends with all of them. Like, there was nothing bad that happened, so we just kind of it fizzled out, right? And one day I was talking to an ex-boyfriend about the following one that I had been dating for 2.5 years. And I said to him, I'm not feeling like I'm not in love and all this kind of stuff. And he said to me, Natasha, how many times are you going to do this? How many times are you going to date someone for 18 months, 2 years, and then start all over again because you're after that, feeling of them, you're after those butterflies and all that kind of stuff. He goes, what do you think happens? And that was kind of like a penny dropping moment. By the way, thank you for the love hearts. But that was a penny dropping moment for me, going, okay, so this has happened now 3 or 4 times with 3 or 4 long-term relationships, and, I didn't realize that there was, these stages. And this is obviously the whole point I'm telling the story, is that business has these exact same stages. So let's relate it back to that. So when we start off a new idea, and we start something that is exciting, it's fresh. Of course, for me, 8.5 years ago, I started the business, and I had millions and one idea. And I used to I had the shiny object syndrome as well, and try this and launch this brand and launch that brand. And I did so many different things, which were that kissing lots of boys moments, because it was exciting to launch a new program or have something different, that was taking my interest, because it was new and fresh and I wanted to build it and all that kind of stuff. And those, you guys might recognize yourselves in those stages in your own business. That you when you launch a new idea, like I've been reading lots of books on a certain topic, and I'm kind of giving myself a new project in addition to increase my skill set, but also, add more value into my business. And at the same time, of course, fulfill that need, have something fresh and new, because everything else is so well systemized and running like a well-oiled machine. So I'm just bringing in something extra new. So Saxi says, yes, you have some. So shiny object syndrome in my life would have been in love, the stages where I would love to kiss lots of different people and all that sort of stuff. And then the repetition period of business is the one that is the longest, okay? So a new idea might keep you fresh and excited for a week, a month, a few months. And starting a new business might keep you passionate for 6 to 12 months. That would be probably that new feeling, fresh feeling honeymoon period, right? However, there comes a period where you're going to start needing to sort of do the same things over and over and over again, and continuing to repeat, and refine and make those micro adjustments, to get to a point where you feel you have a grasp on something really good. And this stage is usually quite lengthy. It is so lengthy that most people this is where they will start giving up. This is why we also see most businesses, fold under 12 months. Most won't survive past the 3 or 5 year mark. All of those statistics that are also well known. It is because this repetition stage, which is where you're upskilling, you're refining. You know, Tony Robbins has been known to say repetition is the mother of all skill, right? And people don't give this repetition period enough of a go or persistence or discipline or remain resilient through this period as they are hitting bumps along the road. And so they may decide, this is not working, maybe I should do something different, and go back to the honeymoon stage choosing something brand new, which is what I was doing in my 20s, right? I had 3 or 4 long-term relationships. And as soon as it will get to that point of, past honeymoon and into a repetition, I would think I wasn't in love, and I would, dissolve the relationship and find something new that was exciting and gave me butterflies, right? And this is what a lot of new business owners, or even ones that have only been around for a couple of years, will tend to do, is that they will get to past the honeymoon to repetition stage, and then they'll sort of figure, this is like kind of doesn't feel right. It's not my passion. It's just, it doesn't give me that spark that it used to give me. And therefore they might go and change their niche, or they might change their direction or their offering and all that kind of stuff, which doesn't serve them, because guess what? They have lost their place in line. There's another little metaphor I like to share with you. The one where you're in the supermarket, right? And you're lined up to pay for your products that you've just purchased. And you're waiting in line, to get to the cash register. And then out of the corner of your eye, you see a chocolate bar that's taken your fancy. Or you've remembered something that you were meant to buy. And this is you thinking of something completely new, right? And then off you go to get that stuff. And what happens? You end up at the back of the line again, which takes you a lot longer to get the cash register, right? So the idea of here is get in line and stay in line. So when we talked about the repetition stage, this is where I love the dating analogy to business, so relatable to me as a relationship coach. There you go. Yeah. So in my 20s, as I said to you guys, I wouldn't allow this repetition stage to be in my life for too long, because I thought I wasn't in love. And this is what people do in business. They think they're not in love with their offering. They're not in love with their niche. Maybe they start making excuses. There's not enough people to attract in this. Maybe I'm not making, rather than making refinements in how their messaging is, what they're doing for their marketing, hustling. Like the repetition stage requires a hustle. It requires for you to get out there and apply yourself, so you can test and measure the things that you are doing right and the ones that you should stop doing, and to continue decluttering your life from the ideas until you reach that point. So remember, we've had the one night stand, we've got the boyfriends, which are the honeymoon and the repetition, and now marriage, right? And marriage is, of course, marriage will have its own stages of honeymoon, repetition, and then mastery. But marriage here in this metaphor would represent, now you're ready to dominate. Like, you're going to start dominating. You're settled in your thing. So marriage means also deciding to settle and fulfill something that's going to be your lifelong partner or whatever your relationship. And same thing with business. You reach a stage of mastery or domination, right? And when you reach that stage of mastery and domination, a new sense of calm comes over. Whereas repetition, you're like a little crazy duck, swimming in the pond with its feet under the water, pushing, and now you kind of a new calm comes over you, and you're able to see things a lot clearer. So you still continue growing, you'll still have mini stages of honeymoon routine and different things that you're getting better at, but you start to feel like you have a grasp on things, you know what can go wrong, you know what to do when things are not working. A lot of the time when you're in honeymoon or routine, if things fall apart, you're like freaking out. You're like, I don't know, I'm imploding, everything's falling apart, right? But when you get to domination stage or mastery stage, you start to know exactly what you need to do if things go wrong, if things don't work out, and how to refine and tweak that. And so when I got married at the age of 31, obviously I made that decision. And isn't this interesting? I was thinking to myself how my whole love life reflects the results that, and how I've been behaving also in business. But I started this business when I was 32, right? And I was just about to turn 33. And it is, through the persistence of how I've been running my life with my husband and our marriage, it is a perfect reflection to how the business has grown and how committed I have stayed to both of these things in my life. And it is through that, and of course, did I hit the stage with my husband of past honeymoon and where are the butterflies and all that kind of stuff that we go through? Yeah, absolutely. We've gone through repetition for a long period of time. We're together. We've been for 14 years. It was a 10-year anniversary, but together we've been in a relationship for 14 years, and I can truly say that we feel that we are at mastery state because we know if anything goes wrong, how we're going to handle it, how to problem solve together, how to support one another, how to deal with the other person's shortcomings, which we are not perfect, each other's. And so the other day when we were on our weekend away, we actually also sat down and decided to write a list of being a 10-year marriage. I said, what are the 10 things that we do, why it makes us successful and happy in life and in business? If you want to know them, comment and let me know, because I am happy to share the list. I love lists. So of course I documented them on my little note section on the phone. But if you want to know what our 10 secrets are to happiness in our life and business together, I think because when you're an entrepreneur and when you're working with your partner or your husband, it's life actually just ends up being in a flow rather than just this is marriage or this is the business, or nothing is kind of separate. Everything goes from one thing to another, and if you don't support that, then things can start being wobbly and loose. So Saxy says, yes, I'd love to know. Okay, I'm going to share with you. And this again, you can use it as a metaphor whereby you can relate it to your business or to how you run your business, right? Okay, here we go. So there's actually 11. I ended up making one super funny one, which is actually a really important one. Okay, so number one, we said, so this is how they came up to us, from the one that was the most obvious one to the ones that we actually then continued to brainstorm. So number one is that we always have something to look forward to. Our next adventure is always booked, okay? So we work really hard in our business. We service a lot of people, we travel a lot for the business, and therefore we exert a lot of energy when it comes to, running the business, running the life, and running 3 little kids who are under 10. So we've got a 3 and 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. And so, we always have something that we are is booked in. So whenever we get back home from one adventure, the next one's already booked in, and we kind of work on an 18-month calendar. Like we're planning things already 18 months into the future. So we already know when we're going to be busy, when we're going to be quiet, and how we're going to arrange things around that, so that it always fun takes priority, and rest also are just as important as growing our business. So that's been one thing that we both agree on, and we just basically have a lot of fun researching and looking at things and dreaming and imagining what it will be like in the future. And similar thing, I'll let you guys, I'm not, because it's going to take too long to relate it back to business, but I'll just do this first one, and then you can do this for yourself as I'm going through the 11 different things. But in business, if you're not planning 12 to 18 months ahead, how are you going to know when you're going to have a sales boom? How are you going to plan for that? How are you going to build in the buffers? How are you going to actually be relaxed about the fun times that you have, because you know when you're going to be more intense about the things that you're doing. So really having things to look forward to is also creating the opportunities that are going to bring in revenue, new clients, new collaborations, and all that sort of stuff. All right, number 2 thing, we place a big priority. We make rest super high on our list. So we make sure we always rested, okay? Because what do grumpy people do? And not grumpy people, but do you know, people who are tired and overworked and lack sleep or can't sleep properly, what do? Well, they get super grumpy, and they're not very nice to be around with, and they fight with other people, and they blame others because they just don't have enough energy to be at cause for their life. So therefore it's kind of the pointing finger. So rest in our family is super important. We have trained our children to sleep and go to bed at certain times. You know, there's bedtime, you know, there's no disturbance in the morning. Everyone gets up whenever they, well, of course, if there's school and all that sort of stuff, but we all, it's a must for people to be rested. And we know when we travel, when we get to a place, we have a rule: no fighting in the 24 hours of travel, because we know everyone gets super tired when they are on planes and transit and all that sort of stuff, and we can have short fuses. So therefore there's rules around when you're super tired that you're not allowed to fight, because we know what that means. It just means you're tired, not because anyone else has done anything to you. All right, number 3 thing was, well, this brings this closer back to the kids, but we're very consistent in our parenting. We parent exactly in the same way. We've agreed on the same rules. There's no bad cop, good cop. One person does this and one person does that, and the kids know that, you know, if I say no, that Stuart will say no, and there's no actual clashes in what they have been told, so there's no mixed messages, and this is not something we went to learn anywhere else. It just kind of has happened because we have a similar set of values as well, which was not always the same. This obviously evolves over a period of time. Number 4 was let the other person do what they like to do without any limitations. And what that means is that basically if Stuart enjoys football and he wants to catch up with his fantasy football buddies on a Saturday, he can do that. If I want to go out on a girls' weekend away, I can do that. I've traveled overseas on my own. You know, we have done things. I've taken the business international when perhaps he didn't want to do those kind of things, you know, as big a vision as me and all that. So he's always allowed me to have, you know, those moments of, you know, bursts of inspiration and ideas, because I'm the big ideas person and action and just want to get out there and do lots of things and, you know, a bubble of energy. So always allowing each other to do the things that we are interested in, even if the other person's not. So I'm super into snow skiing, and I love doing that. And I went with my mum and Mika the other day, and Stuart doesn't really love it. So I'll be going on some ski trips, most likely with the girls, with mum and my daughters, as time progresses, over him needing to drag him along to something that he doesn't enjoy a lot. So number 5 is a bit funny one, but I know money plays a big part in relationships, and that is let Nat shop as much as she wants. No, what she likes. Okay, hang on. Let Nat shop what she likes, except at the supermarket. Okay, so I'm not allowed to shop at the supermarket. Okay, I have been given the ban. I'm allowed to obviously do clothes and things that are, you know, we went on the weekend away, we bought a new dining table and things like that. But Stuart's never been the person who you can't buy that dress, or you can't buy this and all that kind of stuff. So we never actually have discussions around it at any time. It doesn't matter if it was when we were employed or when, you know, that we are now, you know, in a stage where we have got enough and abundance and all that kind of stuff, but at any stage, right? So why are you curious probably why I've been banned from the supermarket? Because I'm not the cook in the family, Stuart is, and that brings me to one other point further down on the list. But basically, because when I go to the supermarket, I have no awareness of what things are and what they're meant to cost. And I just kind of keep putting things into the shopping trolley, and I probably spend triple the amount than I should spend, whereas Stuart likes to be a smart shopper and he knows what to pick and how to pick it and all that kind of stuff. And so therefore, yeah, I just stay out of the way, you know, so that's kind of why that has happened, which brings me, I'll bring that point back in. But to a further point back down was domestically do the things that we are best at, okay? So we have the same standard for cleanliness and tidiness in our house. And so therefore we teach that to our children, so then everything is where it should be. And we declutter twice a year, once a big one just around the end of November, start of December, once around the winter time. But domestically, I'm better at you know, doing house projects, so oiling decks and fences and doing all sorts of projects that are handyman kind of stuff, whereas Stuart is domestically better at the food shopping and the supermarket shopping, so therefore he does those things, and he does some of the school drop-offs where I do less of that. And I take the kids like to our chiropractor and all that sort of stuff. So we have different domestic activities that we're better at, and we just you know, washing clothes and all that kind of stuff. I would probably do some of those things. So that's a little bit of a funny one, but it can cause a lot of rifts in relationships if one person spends more money than the other person, and then sort of judging the other person what they want to buy and all that kind of stuff. That can cause little uncomfortable situations. All right, so number 7 on the list, hang on, number 6, we like the same type of people. So in terms of our values, the people that we accept into our programs, our clients, and the people we like to hang around with, we generally like the same people. So that obviously makes life a lot easier. And that again related to business, you know, who is your ideal client? What does your no dickheads policy look like? All of that, you got to line it out and remain integral to it. Otherwise, you are going to you're gonna let in some people that maybe you won't gel with, and therefore you won't enjoy your experience. Which brings me to point number 7, is that we love what we do. We absolutely love our business, love you know, the routines that we've got set up around it, and this doesn't feel like work. You know, being committed to this live every Monday at 9 a.m. Melbourne time, you know, is easy. It's super easy for me. You know, for him, you know, the things that he's developed and learned throughout the business, his copywriting skills, you know, management of venues and our Facebook and all that kind of stuff. We just absolutely love it, and we learn how to do it better and better and better and better and better, which is what continues to give you that energy to enjoy life, the relationships, and life overall. So that was number 7. Number 8 is a big one, I believe, with us. And number 8 is that routines and traditions. We have routines and traditions around everything, right? I'll tell you one funny one is when in the hospital, different standard. I'm working on getting banned from the supermarket, Alan. Different standards of tidy. Yeah, Stuart and I have those exact same standards of tidiness. But a funny one, like about routines, talking about that, every time we had a new child, because obviously we've had 3, with every child, as soon as when we're in the hospital, yes, we do, Saxi. We do work. We've been in this business together now. It'll be 6 years this Christmas, and we followed the same path in our career beforehand. So we were in the optical industry, and we were the same company for like 12 years, and then we didn't know each other the whole time. But then, you know, there was a little separation where when I left the optics and started the business until he could quit his day job. So we kind of always followed the same path of what we do, and it's been very similar. So yeah, he'll be home soon. He's out food shopping, as I said, Monday morning when I'm doing live. He's at Coles and Aldi doing the food shopping, and with our little daughter who's not at school yet. So, and I do some stuff, but today is actually more of his work day. So I'm going to take over the 3-year-old and hang out with her, and then he'll be working in here from 10 o'clock through to 4 o'clock until I take the kids to Cairo, so, and pick them up from school. So we just keep switching around. Yeah, so yeah, when we would have a new baby in the hospital, everything that we did with the first baby, we would repeat the same photos, the same thing, and here's the baby bringing into the house, and here's the baby in the high chair, and here's the baby here, and we've got this coffee table that's got like a glass covering over it, and we've got all the 3 photos from the 3 babies in the same 3 situations. When people come in, to our house and they see the table, like, oh my God, this is so cool. So what that brings me to is that everything, at times of the year or whenever we go traveling, when we walk into a place, there is a certain tradition and a routine that gets executed, which means we save on a ton of time fluffing around not knowing what we're doing. So it's almost like your business has systems. So does our life have systems? Our life, when we travel, when we walk into our accommodation, when we're away, what do we need to discover? What do we need to buy? How do we need to get comfortable? And within 12 to 24 hours, we're like we've been living there for however long. So routines and habits and traditions, around certain times of the year of how we do stuff, they, I believe, are a strong bonding factor to families. So yeah, so number 8, that was the routines. Number 9, we talked about domestically doing the things that we are best at. So whoever's good at one thing takes care of that. And there's no nagging. I don't even know what, sometimes you see it in movies and all that kind of stuff, but I don't feel that there's any nagging to each other. Maybe we do it, we're just not aware of it, but I don't feel that there is. Number 10 was get along with each other's families. Well, not all of our families are around. Like my dad lives in Macedonia and his mum lives in Dramana, but my mum and his dad are nearby. And my mum is involved. My mum's part of the business now, and even bringing her into the equation of being around a lot more and living in our home when we need to be interstate, so she takes care of our kids. It's really important that you are able to get along with each other's families, and we do that, and we're respectful, and we have traditions also with them, and celebrations that we do with them. And I'll give you the number 11 as we get near to 9:30 this morning. And this is probably a trivial one, but I believe it's an important one, and that is that everyone in the family puts the toilet seat down. Okay, everyone in the family puts the toilet seat down. So no one gets frustrated with anyone else. The bathrooms look a lot neater and tidier. And even when we go travel, again, all the same systems get executed in the same way, so that there is no variation between them. So that's a little funny one to finish you guys off on. So if you listen to those 10 or 11 that I listed, how can you relate them to business? How can you relate what I said earlier about honeymoon, repetition and domination, from love to business, and the stories that I shared around my kissing days and boyfriends, and then realizing that the honeymoon does dissipate and you do have to get into routine and mastery, and that actually on the other side of routine or repetition is a wonderful calm and knowledge and wisdom of knowing how to handle different things. So I hope you found this a little bit entertaining, learned a couple of things about me that you may not have known. If you have joined this kind of in the last few minutes, do revert back. There is a few funny things and some insights that I share as throughout this live. But love does have a lot to do with business. If you, as they say, if one part of your life is not well, it will filter through and and almost affect the others. So, you know, if we're not, if we haven't got our shit sorted in love or health or whatever, whatever area of our life, it is going to filter through to how our business grows, succeeds, and all that. And the 10+1 tips are awesome. You guys are Power Family, such amazing inspiration. Thank you. Thank you for being on the whole call, Sakshi. Look, every time I keep asking myself the question, how can we be doing things better? Is there something else that we need to declutter and improve in our lives? Every year I set myself a new theme of what I want to be better at. So, and I do have my own habits and routines that I'm continuously bringing into my life, others that I'm getting rid of because they're not serving me anymore, but just kind of continuing ultimately to aim for simplicity and ease and flow, which is, I believe, happening every year better and better around what we do. So I wish that upon everybody. Keep developing yourself, keep thinking about how certain things that you used to do could be a reflection of how you are in business, because the way we make decisions and the way we you know, interact with other people is also the way we would then make a decision, or how we would freak out or not freak out in our own business. So it's really exciting. Yes. And this Friday, you guys, we are hosting our, I don't know, it's 10th or 11th group book launch in Doncaster. So if you are Melbourne based, 7 p.m. at the Pancake Parlour in Doncaster, we are having our book launch. Skitty, if you're still on the call, do post that link, because I know you're very diligent with posting the link. It's going to be a 3-hour evening. We're launching 10 authors, including me, with my 9th book, Shut Up and Write Your First Book. So I'll be launching that, as well as the other 9 authors. And Helen's going to be there awesomely crewing with her book as well, and Sally. So usually these nights attracts anywhere from 70 to 100 people. So it will be wonderful to catch up with you if I haven't met you and you're around in Melbourne, or even if you've been to one before. Again, a great Friday night drink, some networking, and awesome books to check out on the night. So I shall see you guys next week. Oh, next week's going to be the one just before we fly off to Canberra. So we'll be back. If there's any other topics that you'd love to hear about, I've been reading lots. I'm collating a lot of content at the moment, and making it, you know, make sense before I start talking about it and teaching or imparting some wisdom with it. All right, have a wonderful week. I'm off to have a coffee, and then it's Stuart back in this chair for his day of work while I hang out with my 3-year-old. All right, bye, guys. Where's the button? Here we go.